Al Roker.
And welcome back to another extravaganza we like to call the Al Roker program here on CNBC. And we have a very special guest. You know him as that time-traveling physicist on the show Quantum Leap. You also know him as the hunky love interest on Murphy Brown. But now, Mr. Scott Bakula has a fabulous new movie out that scared the dickens out of my daughter in the previews. Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. Welcome, Scott Bakula.
Hello.
I have to.
Hello.
I said we met each other earlier today on the Today Show, and I was telling you I took her to see that cute movie about the talking pig, Babe.
Yes.
And you know there are all these little kids in there, and up comes the preview for Lord of the Illusions. Scared the bejesus out of them. They're just all in therapy now. No, this looks like a pretty frightening movie.
It is. Of course, no one saw Babe, right? They all left, right? They're like,
that's right. Screaming out the place.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm not responsible for that.
No, you're not.
But certainly that was not intended.
It was a mistake. They had re-racked the wrong trailer.
Yeah.
It was just an ugly thing.
Yeah. Kids piling over each other to get out to the exits.
We were talking with Scott Bakula. His new movie has opened up, and it is called Lords of Illusion, and by Mr. Clive Barker. But before we even get to talking about that a little bit more, you were in what I think was one of the finest television shows ever broadcast, and that was Quantum Leap. I mean, it was an inventive show, a fun show, yet it tackled social issues. When that show went off the air, was that difficult for you and the rest of the cast and crew?
Well, it was because really the reality was we had such a good time. We loved making the show. Dean and I got along well, and that's not always the case on TV shows.
Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell, yeah. And because the nature of the show being different every week, we were not bored. We were not, sick of going into the courtroom week after week after week or whatever. And so it was hard, and it was difficult because we'd been moved 6 times. We'd been, as always in television, it seems you get promised certain things, and we'd been left a little bit out in the wind, and that part of it was hard. The reasons for letting us go were hard to swallow. I mean, in terms of numbers, and there were people at NBC that didn't believe people cared about the show anymore, and it was tough. It's hard. It was a hard show to do. By the end of the year, I was always ready to take a rest.
For those who hadn't seen it, it was about a time-traveling physicist who would go back and forth, but it was within 20 years of
it was within my lifetime. I could only travel within my lifetime.
And you would go, I remember one episode where you landed in the body of an African-American man, and another where you were a woman. Was that difficult playing? I mean, you were dressed up as a woman sometimes.
I was dressed up as a woman a lot of times, actually.
You seem very comfortable.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
No, it was, the woman stuff was really, actually got to be pretty easy as time went by. The first episode was really tough because they chose a time period for women that was very difficult clothes-wise, the early 60s. So you were wrapped up in all the Jackie Kennedy kind of clothes, and everything hurt. Top to bottom, everything hurt. And that was tough. But, it was just the kind of things you don't ever think about as an actor ever getting to do. And we broke all the boundaries, and we kind of paid it out slowly. So I wasn't a chimpanzee until the 4th year. But we were able to take the audience to that place, and people would accept the character doing those kinds of things. So we just got to do almost anything, and we got to say a lot of things. And it's the messages and the shows and the humor and the everything that we wanted to say has reached the world now, and it's really been exciting to go different places in the world and see like people in different languages that got it and get it the same way and love the show.
It's interesting in that here's a show that in a lot like another NBC show that got taken off, Star Trek, which is now Quantum Leap is probably now more popular when it was on, now that it's off network television, than when it was on.
Yeah, I would say it's much more popular.
There are conventions, there are fan clubs. That's got to be pretty gratifying.
It is. And again, it's most gratifying because it's a show I'm proud of. I think if it were something that I was like trying to leave behind or run away from, it's like, oh, please come to the convention for, whatever, it would be hard. But I'm so proud of the show and the work we did, and the fact that people are still finding it. I'll bump into people. I just saw your show for the first time last night, and you're like, where have you been? But
Yeah.
But that happens all the time. And now, since it's on reruns, younger kids are seeing it now for the first time, and they're discovering it. And kids that weren't, kids that are 5 or 6 years old who weren't even really around when we started. So that's pretty exciting too. That it's being passed down now generationally.
Do you ever get annoyed? I mean, you talk to some actors and they try to distance themselves from something that was maybe 5, 10 years earlier, and they don't want to still be associated with that. Is it still a proud association for you? Do you ever see a point where they say, well, that was then and this is now?
Well, I've been lucky. If since that time I'd only been able to do other roles that were just like Sam Beckett, I think that would be the case. I think I'd be like, boy, I wish we could forget about that so I could move on and try other things. But I've really been, again, the nature of the show was I did a lot of different things, so I wasn't really pigeonholed into he's a guy who just does this. So I've been able to do all kinds of different roles. For instance, Lord of Illusions, that's a trip. I played a whole nother way to go. I played a bad guy in a movie of the week a couple of years ago. I keep experimenting and I'm allowed to do other things. So that's just a role that I was really proud of, that people really loved. And so I'm happy to hear about it, and I'm happy that people are still, into the show.
You have played a varied number of roles, not only on television, but in the movies as well. What do you think it is that you've got that keeps you from getting the same kind of role? Some actors you see them playing the same kind of thing over and over, yet you seem to avoid that.
Well, I make a point of it. I mean, I really try and search out different kinds of roles. I've never really considered myself to be one type of an actor. I mean, I come from the stage, and I do all kinds of roles.
And you're the type of an actor that won't get upset because I have to go to a commercial.
No, not at all.
See, I knew that. I could sense. I'm sorry. We'll be right back. The Al Roker Show continues off in Soul Stop. He's starring in the new movie that just opened up, Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. And, of course, Mr. Scott Bakula has composed himself. He's all right. We were talking before the commercial break about how you've avoided getting typecast and being in the same kind of role.
Yeah, again, it's really lucky. And I don't know that I modeled myself, and I don't mean this not that I'm him, but, I mean, Laurence Olivier was one of the people that got to do anything. He kind of just put a different nose on, and he was out there, doing anything he wanted to do. Duvall gets to do it. Not a lot of people get to do it. So I like to do things, and I like to keep expanding. I like to try different things, and as long as people let me do it, I'll keep doing it.
Like series television, would you do another series?
Absolutely. I tried to do one last year, actually. I made a pilot that wasn't picked up, and loved doing it, and I'm looking for other things to do. So I love television. I really
What is
do.
it about? I mean, is it fair to compare them? Do you like television better than movies? Or?
Well, you get certainly more time and more money as a rule when you're making a movie. So, and you get to do things that you don't get to do on television, and you get to do special effects and things that really don't pay off on a small screen that much, and you get to do more kind of expansive stories at times. But television reaches more people than any medium. It's a very powerful tool, and used in the correct way, I think it's the greatest possible way to reach people. And not only in this country, you can reach them all around the world. So I really like television, and I like the opportunities there. Half hour is a different bag than the hour, and in a movie of the week. I mean, I like to do all of them. That's why I went back to Murphy Brown, because I missed that audience, and that kind of do a show in a week and forget about it, and go on to the next one. Films take so long. Lord of Illusions we shot last year in August and September, and it's been almost a year now. So that's frustrating, I think, sometimes. It's just, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? So I like, again, and then on top of that, I miss the theater. So I'm a mess. I don't know what I want.
You don't know what you want.
Just somebody put me on stage.
Do you have any plans to do some theater?
I'd like to. Finding the time.
You hear that, Broadway? He wants theater.
No, Broadway's been very nice about it.
You've been fine.
Been suggesting that I could come back, but it's a 6-month to a year commitment almost always, and that's tough. With I have my business out in L.A. now, unfortunately, and my family and everything. So it's a little bit. I'd love to come back and do it, and hopefully there'll be the right time to do it, or maybe I'll just start doing a week here or there somewhere in the summertime, just to kind of stay on it. I just did Carnegie Hall, though, a couple months ago. I did a benefit for an AIDS benefit, and we did an Anyone Can Whistle concert. Made a CD, and Bernadette Peters and Madeline Kahn, and it was
Nice
great.
company.
Yeah, and it was Carnegie Hall, and it was someplace I never thought I'd ever be.
How you got to Carnegie Hall?
That's right.
Practice! Come on, it's an old joke, but
Yes,
we're old guys.
it always works.
When you do this kind of film, and you said there's a lot of special effects, and it's been away, and it's finally open now. You go to see it. Is it what you thought it would be?
It's not what I think it would. You can't imagine really what it's going to be. First of all, I'm not in a good portion of the film that takes place in the cultist's house. I'm not in. So when I first saw that, I was totally in shock. I was seeing it like an audience for the first time. It's very intense and very scary, and I was kind of freaked out about that. And then again, seeing the special effects for the first time, and I'm watching it critically. I need to see it again, actually, so I can just now enjoy the movie.
Watch.
But I'm like, that's what they did? They did that? Oh, that's how that's going to work. And what are they, and so you get away from the analyzing aspect of it, and then maybe I'll be able to enjoy it at some point.
Can you, as an actor, somebody who's in this business, sit down and watch a movie? Do you have to physically force yourself to watch a movie like a regular person?
You mean a movie that I'm not in?
Yeah.
No, I'm able to really let go in the movies. I think it's something about, and it's true in the theater too. You're just going into a dark place and you block out everything else. And I love to go and have my popcorn, and I can just, if it's even a bad movie, I'm just happy to be there. It's like 2 hours and no phones, no, I mean, I'm in there, it's quiet, and I can escape. And that's what I love about the movies anyway. So I can do that very, very easily still.
Well, it's been really special having you here,
Thank
in all
you.
honesty, and I hope the movie is a big success, and I'm sure it will be. Clive Barker's The Lord of Illusions, starring Mr. Scott Bakula, and of course, this season upcoming with Murphy Brown. We don't know what's going to happen. We haven't been able to beat it out of him yet, but we're going to try. Anyway, Scott, thanks so much for being with us. And we will see you next time. Don't forget, coming up next, that wacky, zany nut boy, Dick Cavett. So don't forget, we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.